If you're thinking about moving to Tampa, but you're worried about flooding, flood zones, or crazy insurance costs, this video is absolutely for you. Hey everyone, it's Angie Allstott, your Tampa Bay relocation and Florida lifestyle expert. I help people just like you every single day find the right home in the right area. So today we're talking about some of the best places in and around Tampa to consider if you want that Florida lifestyle without constantly stressing about water. If you're relocating from out of the state, maybe the Midwest, the Northeast, or the West Coast, Florida flood zones can feel really confusing. Two homes in the same zip code can have totally different flood risks and very different insurance premiums. That's why when I work with relocation buyers, flood risk is not an afterthought. It's part of the very first conversation, right alongside schools, commute, and lifestyle. As a native Floridian and a Tampa Bay realtor, I'm constantly looking at flood maps, elevation, and insurance trends, so you're not surprised after you've already under contract. Let's keep this really simple. Florida uses FEMA flood maps to label areas as higher or lower risk. You'll see letters like A, AE, V, and then you'll see Zone X. Generally speaking, A and V zones are the higher risk areas, where lenders are usually going to require flood insurance. Zone X, especially the unshaded area of Zone X, is typically considered lower risk, and that's where a lot of relocation buyers feel more comfortable, emotionally and financially, because insurance is often optional or much more affordable in those areas. I always verify this on a property by property basis for my clients, but knowing these basics helps you understand why certain neighborhoods might be a better fit if you're trying to avoid major flood risks. Okay, let's start with one of my favorite areas for relocation buyers, Northwest Tampa and the North Suburban Corridor. Places like West Chase, Citrus Park, and Cheval up in Lutz are incredibly popular with families and professionals moving here from out of state. You're going to see a lot of master planned communities, golf courses, cute town centers, great schools, and in many pockets, homes that sit outside of those high-risk flood zones. When I'm walking buyers through homes up here, the conversation is usually we get to have the Florida lifestyle, we get all the amenities, and we're not right on the bay, so we're not dealing with the same level of flood exposure as some other waterfront properties. If you want a modern suburban Florida feel with parks, sidewalks, and community pools, and you want to be smart about flood risk, this is usually one of the first areas I recommend we look at together. Now let's talk about New Tampa and the North I-75 corridor. Areas like Tampa Palms and Hunter's Green. These communities have a bit of that country club vibe with gated entrances, golf courses, tennis, pickleball, nature trails, and lots of preserved green spaces. Many relocation buyers from the Midwest and Northeast love it because it feels familiar, with cul-de-sacs, neighborhood pools, and lots of families, just with palm trees and sunshine. From a flood perspective, much of this corridor is on a relatively higher elevation compared to our coastal peninsulas, and many homes are in zones where flood insurance is optional rather than lender required. It always comes down to the specific address, but if you like that planned community lifestyle and you're trying to avoid the highest risk flood areas, New Tampa is a strong contender. And when people say Tampa, they often mean the whole Tampa Bay region. And that opens up some great options in North Pinellas County, especially Palm Harbor and the East Lake area. These little pockets are fantastic for buyers who want to be within a quick drive of the Gulf beaches, but don't necessarily want to be sitting right on a barrier island. You'll find well-kept subdivisions, golf communities, and some 55+ neighborhoods that were intentionally developed outside of the highest risk flood zones. For many of my relocation clients, Palm Harbor and East Lake strike that perfect balance. You could be at the beach in 20 to 30 minutes, but your everyday living is in neighborhoods that often have more favorable flood and insurance profiles than some of the direct waterfront areas do. Now, we also need to talk about some of the most popular in-demand neighborhoods like South Tampa and Davis Islands, where flood risk is higher, but these areas are gorgeous, vibrant, and extremely desirable. You've got amazing restaurants, great walkability, and stunning water views. But a lot of these streets are mapped in a higher risk flood zone, which means lenders are usually going to require flood insurance, and your premiums can be significantly higher than an inland Zone X property. When I'm working with buyers who absolutely love South Tampa or waterfront living, we don't just automatically rule it out. We just go in with eyes wide open. We talk about elevation certificates, build style, and any flood mitigation updates. We also get realistic insurance estimates, so you can decide if that lifestyle trade-off makes sense for you. And here's where I come in as more than just a realtor. I was born and raised in Florida. I live the Tampa Bay lifestyle, and I specialize in helping families, relocators, and investors make smart decisions, not just emotional ones. I'm here to guide you through everything: flood zones, insurance expectations, community feel, schools, commute, and long-term resale potential. We can look at side-by-side options, maybe one home inland in a lower risk area like West Chase or Palm Harbor, and another closer to the water in South Tampa. Then I'll walk you through the differences in lifestyle, risk, and monthly costs, so you can choose what truly fits your goals, not just what looks pretty on Instagram. If you're early in the process and just starting to research Tampa, here's what I suggest. First, get clear on your lifestyle. Do you want walkability and restaurants, a big yard for the kids or dogs, a golf cart community, the proximity to the beaches? Then second, be honest about your comfort level with flood risk and insurance costs. Some people are totally fine being near the water. Others want the peace of mind of a lower risk flood zone. Then that's where I step in and help you connect the dots. Matching your lifestyle and your risk comfort level to specific neighborhoods and specific homes in the Tampa Bay area. If you've watched this far, there's a good chance Tampa Bay is on your radar. So whether you're worried about flooding, insurance, or just picking the wrong neighborhood, you do not have to figure all of this out on your own. If you're thinking about making a move, I help people just like you every single day buy the right home in the Tampa Bay area. You can find my contact information directly below this video. I would love to connect, learn about your plans, and help you find a Florida home that feels right for your lifestyle and your peace of mind.